It began with chains, but it did not end with silence. The story of slavery in America is not just a tale of oppression. It is a chronicle of resistance, survival, and unyielding human spirit. From the first African captives brought to the shores of Virginia in 1619 to the abolition of slavery in 1865, this history is carved into the soul of the nation. It is a history soaked in brutality, but also in courage. Men, women, and children who dared to fight for freedom even when every law and every whip told them not to. This is not just America's dark past. It is a mirror that still reflects injustice, inequality, and the legacy of pain that continues today. To understand where we are, we must remember where we began. This is the truth of slavery in America, a truth that must never be forgotten. Like and subscribe to uncover the hidden history that shaped the modern world. 1. From Africa to America, the beginning of human cargo. Slavery in America started with European traders capturing Africans or buying them from coastal kingdoms. Packed like animals on slave ships, millions crossed the Atlantic in the horrifying Middle Passage. Men, women, and children were chained, starved, beaten, and often thrown overboard. Only the strongest survived the voyage, and they were sold into slavery upon arrival. The first enslaved Africans landed in Virginia in 1619, marking the start of over 2 centuries of exploitation. They were not considered human, only property, bought, sold, and worked to death. The system grew quickly, fueling the American economy through plantations and forced labor. From tobacco to cotton, their sweat built fortunes they would never see. Families were ripped apart, and identities were stripped away. But the enslaved never forgot who they were, and some never stopped fighting. 2. Life under the lash, the cruelty of slavery. Daily life for enslaved people was brutal, dehumanizing, and soaked in violence. They worked from sunrise to sunset under constant threat of the whip. Basic human needs were ignored, food was scarce, and medical care was rare. Women were especially vulnerable, often raped by their owners with no recourse. Children were born into bondage, treated as future labor, not lives with dreams. Enslaved people had no legal rights, and cruelty was both tolerated and normalized. Punishments were savage: whippings, branding, mutilation, even death. Religion was weaponized to justify their suffering, claiming slavery was divinely sanctioned. But even amid this nightmare, enslaved people found strength in each other. Through music, secret gatherings, and spiritual resistance, they held on to hope. 3. Voices of defiance, slave revolts, and rebellion. Though it was dangerous, enslaved people resisted in every way they could. Some broke tools, slowed work, or poisoned crops to fight back quietly. Others escaped, risking everything to reach freedom in the North or Canada. The Underground Railroad became a lifeline, guided by heroes like Harriet Tubman. Some revolts turned violent, such as Nat Turner's rebellion in 1831. He led enslaved people in killing dozens of slaveholders before being captured and executed. Gabriel Prosser and Denmark Vesey also planned uprisings, but were stopped and killed. Every rebellion was met with brutal retaliation, but the message was clear. Slavery would never be accepted without resistance. Freedom was always worth the fight, even if it meant death. 4. The path to emancipation. Abolition and the Civil War. The abolition movement grew stronger through the 1800s, led by both black and white allies. Frederick Douglass, a former slave, became a powerful voice for freedom. So did Sojourner Truth, who spoke against slavery and for women's rights. Abolitionists published newspapers, gave speeches, and formed secret networks. Tensions over slavery boiled over between the North and South. The Civil War erupted in 1861, with slavery at the heart of the conflict. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing slaves in Confederate states. Victory in 1865 brought the end of the war, and the 13th Amendment ended slavery nationwide. But freedom on paper did not mean freedom in life. New forms of oppression soon replaced the chains they broke. 5. After slavery, legacy, racism, and the fight for justice. Freedom brought hope, but also new challenges for the formerly enslaved. They were promised land, rights, and dignity, but were given poverty, violence, and discrimination. Sharecropping kept many in economic slavery, tied to the same land they once toiled. Black codes and Jim Crow laws enforced segregation and crushed progress. Lynchings became a tool of terror to keep Black Americans in fear. Still, the fight for justice never ended. From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, the struggle continues. The legacy of slavery lives on in racial inequality, police brutality, and broken systems. But so does the legacy of strength, resilience, and resistance. This is not just history, it is still our reality today. Slavery in America was not just a system. It was a crime against humanity. It tried to break the bodies and spirits of millions, but it failed. Because even in the darkest chains, people dreamed of light. They sang songs of freedom, whispered prayers for justice, and held on to hope. Their stories deserve to be told, not buried under silence or shame. This is a truth we must face, not to stay in the past, but to build a better future. We honor their pain by learning their names and remembering their struggle. Do not let history be rewritten or forgotten. Like this video and subscribe to help share the stories that still matter. Together, let us never forget the cost of freedom and those who paid it.